Why the mask?
To hide my face.
Okay, so if you've been online at all lately, like especially on TikTok, or maybe you just follow gaming even a little bit, you've definitely seen him.
Oh, yeah. That skull mask, the sunglasses, the headset.
Exactly. That whole look, it's just blown up. It's everywhere in pop culture, kind of driving massive sales for, one of the biggest game franchises ever.
It really has. He's become this phenomenon. And that's what this deep dive is all about today. We're looking at Simon Ghost Riley from Call of Duty.
Right. We want to go beyond just the cool factor of the mask.
Yeah, our mission here is to really unpack the guy behind it, his past, which is pretty rough. Why the mask and what makes him stick around, why people find him so captivating.
That's the core question, isn't it? Who is the man under the mask? What happened to him? And why does that image resonate with so many people? We're going to dig into both the original story and the reboot to try and figure out the real essence of Ghost.
So Simon Riley's story, it doesn't start on some mission. It starts way back in Manchester, England. And it's dark. His childhood was shaped by just severe abuse from his father. Physical, psychological. We're talking really disturbing stuff, like being forced to kiss snakes or laugh at someone who had died, awful things.
Wow, okay. That's a foundation built on serious trauma. It absolutely paints a picture of why he might develop certain...
Those experiences left deep scars. You see him develop these coping mechanisms really early, suppressing emotions, becoming super disciplined, isolating himself. That coldness, the trust issues we see later, it pretty much all stems from this. It's like he built walls around himself just to survive.
And the mask itself. There's a connection back then, too, with his brother.
Yeah, that's such a chilling detail. His younger brother, Tommy, Simon was apparently really protective of him, trying to shield him from their father.
Okay.
But Tommy sometimes would wear a skull mask,
Yeah.
just messing around, trying to scare Simon. It's this really eerie foreshadowing of Ghost's whole identity later.
That's incredible. So the skull wasn't just a random choice for the mask.
Not at all. It's almost like he's taking that childhood fear, that symbol of torment, and turning it into, like, a source of power as an adult. Controlling the narrative.
Taking back control, that adds so much weight to it. But the trauma didn't stop in childhood, did it? There was more loss later on.
Yeah, the hits just kept coming for him. Later, his entire family, his mother, Tommy's wife and kids, they were all killed. The story varies a bit, maybe a nuclear thing, maybe cartel-related, but the result is the same. Just unimaginable loss on top of everything else.
God, so after all that, the abuse, the loss, he joins the military.
Then you can see why, psychologically. He already had that discipline, that tendency towards isolation. The military offered escape, sure, but also structure, purpose, order. It was maybe a way to find some control when everything inside felt chaotic, a refuge of sorts.
You'd hope he'd find some stability there.
You would. But here's the tragic irony. That path, the one he took for refuge, it just exposed him to whole new kinds of trauma and betrayal, big time.
Like jumping out of the frying pan.
Exactly, into the fire. It shows that just finding an external structure like the military doesn't always fix the internal stuff. For Simon, it just led to more hardship.
Which brings us to Mexico, right? That undercover mission.
Yep. The Mexican nightmare, you could call it. He's deep undercover with the La Compañía cartel. Everything goes sideways, horribly wrong.
Betrayal again.
Massive betrayal. His own commanding officer, Major Vernon, they were working with the cartel. They basically sold him out, left him and his team high and dry.
Unbelievable. And that led to his capture.
And then it just horrific torture, physical beatings, psychological torment. They hung them on hooks. And in this really cruel, specific twist for Simon, they gave him a skull and told him it was his mother's. Just trying to break his spirit completely.
It was sickening. And then the burial, being buried alive.
Yeah.
How did he even survive that?
Just sheer will, it seems. Incredible survival instinct. He somehow manages to escape using a jawbone he found and makes it across the border to Texas. It's just testament to his resilience, really. Raw determination.
But it's still not over, is it? Even after escaping that hell.
Nope. He spends months recovering, then tracks down his old teammates, finds out they've been brainwashed by Roba, and then the absolute final gut punch, he goes home.
And finds his family.
Gone. Everyone. Dead. It's the complete annihilation of his old life. Everything Simon Riley ever was, ever cared about, just wiped out.
That's the breaking point.
That's the breaking point. The story literally says Simon Riley ceased to exist. It's a psychological snap. And out of that wreckage, Ghost is born. It's not just a code name anymore.
It's a whole new persona, a survival mechanism.
Totally. Shedding the identity that carried all that unbearable pain and loss. becoming this hardened, almost unfeeling operator. Detached, because Simon Riley couldn't handle it anymore.
And with nothing left to lose comes vengeance.
Pure, burning vengeance. He goes back to Mexico absolutely furious and just dismantles everything. Tortures a guy named Gilberto for info, wipes out Roba's guards, kills Roba himself, burns the whole place down.
This whole brutal campaign, it basically forges the Ghost identity, right?
Exactly. That's when the persona really solidifies. The skull mask becomes the symbol of his relentless, vengeful nature. It's born from betrayal, torture, loss, and his refusal to ever be that vulnerable again. It's him saying, never again.
So that mask, it's obviously way more than just, fabric and paint. It's central to who he is.
Absolutely central. It's the physical symbol of that whole transformation. And it does a few really crucial things.
Like hiding his identity.
That's the most obvious one, yeah. It hides Simon Riley, the guy who went through hell from the world. It lets him operate as ghost. It's a shield, literally and metaphorically, hiding emotions, scars, vulnerabilities, even from his own team, Task Force 141. He almost never takes it off around them.
Does it affect how enemies see him? Give him an edge?
Oh, definitely. Think about it. You see that skull coming at you in the dark? It's pure intimidation. It instills fear, makes enemies hesitate. That gives him a tactical advantage before a shot is even fired.
Right. The skull is such a universal symbol.
Yeah.
Death, danger.
Exactly. He's weaponizing that primal fear. It projects that relentless, fierce nature we talked about.
And you mentioned it's like a safe haven for him, too.
In a way, yeah. Emotionally, it helps him detach, cope with the anger, the nightmares from his past. Behind the mask, he can be the cold operator he needs to be in combat without getting overwhelmed by all the trauma rattling around inside. It's like a compartment.
But there's that interesting paradox, isn't there? The mask hides him, but it also is him. Ghost, I mean.
That's a great point. And we hear about those super rare times he does take it off, when he's alone, and it brings Simon Riley, the man underneath, immense relief and comfort.
Which suggests it's protective, but maybe also a burden. A prison of sorts.
It could be. It hints at that internal struggle. The mask helps him survive, helps him function as Ghost, but maybe it also prevents him from, fully processing things, fully healing. It's the price of becoming Ghost.
I'm tying it back again. The skull itself, Tommy's mask, the skull during the torture. It's so deeply personal.
Right. It's not random imagery. Skulls haunted him explicitly. So choosing to wear one, it's that reclamation again, taking the symbol of pain and fear and making it his own symbol of power, of survival. It's just fantastic character design, weaving psychology right into the visuals.
So after all this, after becoming Ghost, his skills obviously get noticed.
Yeah, you don't go through all that and survive without becoming exceptionally capable. He gets recruited by Captain Price and General Shepard into the elite task force 141. He's a lieutenant, a key player.
This is in the original Modern Warfare 2, the 2009 game.
Correct. In that storyline, he's often Soap McTavish's second-in-command. Really important support role, stealthy, great sniper, deadly up close, always there providing backup, tactical leadership.
I remember those missions. Chasing Rojas in Rio, takedown, rescuing Price from the Gulag.
Crucial contributions. And then there was loose ends, him and Roach infiltrating Makarov's safe house, getting that critical intel.
Which led directly to probably one of the most infamous moments in gaming history.
Oh, man. Yeah. The ultimate betrayal. They get the intel, they make it to the extraction point, and General Shepard, their own commander,
just shoots him, point blank. Ghost and Roach.
Shoots them, douses them in gasoline, burns the bodies. Just cold-blooded treachery to cover his own tracks.
With it brutal. And it loops back to that theme of betrayal again, doesn't it? Simon joins the military seeking refuge.
And gets betrayed by his superiors. First Vernon or Keating, then Shepard. It paints this really cynical picture about trust, about power, even within these elite units. The people you're supposed to trust the most.
And be the ones who destroy you. It's a dark theme.
Very dark. And that death, Ghost's death in the original game, it hit the community hard. People were devastated.
But weirdly, it kind of made him even more popular, right?
Paradoxically, yes. His shocking death just elevated him, made him this legendary, tragic figure. The outcry, the demand to see him again was enormous. It basically guaranteed he wouldn't stay dead forever in the franchise.
Which, of course, he didn't. The reboot brought him back.
Big time. His popularity basically forced their hand. He returned in the rebooted Modern Warfare series, and this time they really fleshed him out.
How so? What's different about the rebooted Ghost?
Well, while the original was cool, maybe a bit, one note, the rebooted Ghost is much more dynamic. He's got more personality. Fans describe him as, like, Really funny sometimes, surprisingly witty, still mysterious, still got the mask, but he feels more like a real person.
They kind of dialed back the explicit childhood trauma stuff in the reboot, didn't they?
They did, yeah. The focus shifted more to his current interactions, his personality now, rather than dwelling heavily on the specific origins. And the biggest change, the thing everyone talks about.
His relationship with Soap.
Exactly. John Soap, McTavish. Their dynamic in the reboot is just fantastic. It's probably the single biggest enhancement to his character.
How does it play out?
Well, initially, Ghost is pretty wary of Soap, sees him as maybe a bit reckless, headstrong.
Okay.
But as they go through missions together, especially that intense alone mission where Soap is injured, you see their bond really deepen. There are moments where Ghost genuinely shows he cares for Soap, a vulnerability we never really thought before.
And their banter is great, too.
Oh, it's gold! The sarcastic back and forth, the playful insults. Ghost constantly telling Soap to speak English when he uses Scottish slang. It feels authentic.
Fans really picked up on that chemistry, didn't they? The whole brother-like bond. Or even interpreting it romantically sometimes.
Yeah, there's definitely discussion around that queer subtext, especially in moments of vulnerability like in Alone. It adds layers. And that detail, that Ghost is the only one, Soap, let's call him Johnny, that really cemented how special their connection is perceived.
It makes sense why people feel the rebooted Ghost is superior. That relationship adds so much depth.
Totally. It shows you don't always need, like, pages of backstory, sometimes strong character interactions, seeing how they bounce off each other, how they grow together. That's what makes a character compelling. It hooks people emotionally.
And it feels very modern in terms of game writing.
Yeah.
Players want that complexity now, right? They want characters who feel real, who have relationships that matter.
Absolutely. It's not just about the cool action hero anymore. We want to see the person behind the trigger, or in this case, behind the mask. We want internal struggles, relatable connections. The success of this new Ghost proves that character depth drives engagement big time.
So when you wrap it all up, Simon Ghosted, Riley's story, is pretty incredible. It's about surviving unimaginable trauma, isn't it? Childhood abuse, loss, betrayal, torture.
And emerging from that, forged into something new. Ghost, a persona built for vengeance, for survival, completely committed to that new identity. It's a story of resilience in a very dark way.
And that mask. It's just loaded with meaning.
So much meaning. It's his shield, protecting the fractured Simon Riley. It's a weapon, terrifying his enemies. It's a kind of safe space, letting him cope with the past. And it's a constant reminder of everything that made him Ghost. Its design and psychology perfectly intertwined.
And even though he died so shockingly in the original timeline, his impact was just too big. He had to come back.
His legacy demanded it, and the reboot gave him that richer development, cementing him as this truly iconic figure, not just in Call of Duty, but kind of in broader pop culture.
You see it everywhere. The merch, the fan art, the endless online discussions, the memes, the TikToks. He's huge.
And that rebooted dynamic with Soap just poured fuel on the fire. It gave fans even more to connect with, to analyze, to create around. He's a cultural force now.
He really does represent resilience, loyalty in his own way, bravery. It makes him unforgettable.
Definitely. So maybe something to think about after this. Characters like ghosts, the ones wrapped in mystery, hidden behind masks. What do they tell us about ourselves? Why are we drawn to them? Does their enduring popularity say something about the kinds of stories we need? Complex, maybe dark, but ultimately about resilience. And maybe about the hope that there's something deeper, something human, even behind the most intimidating facade.
That's a really interesting question to leave people with. A lot to think about there. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the legend of Simon Ghost Riley.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep digging deeper and keep asking questions.
He was the best of us.
The toughest.
He'd have fought the world barehanded. Who dares wins. Sleep easy, soldier.
See you downrange, brother. We'll take it from him.
Rest in peace, Johnny.